Ladies and gentlemen, you think being single is your biggest issue? Really? No boyfriend? No girlfriend? That's not a crisis, that's a distraction. Let me ask you something that actually matters. What happens when your rent's due and your wallet's empty? What happens when your dreams demand action but your bank account says, not today? We've been sold a lie that love fixes everything. But the truth? It's not heartbreak that buries potential, it's being broke, directionless, and stuck in survival mode while the world races ahead. And before you laugh it off, just imagine waking up 5 years from now in the same spot, same struggle, same excuses. Scary, isn't it? But here's the twist. What if the very pain you're avoiding is the door to everything you've ever wanted? Stay with me, because what comes next might just flip the switch. We live in a time where emotional validation is glorified more than personal responsibility. The world encourages you to chase love, to find your person, to romanticize connection, and while these things are beautiful and meaningful in their own right, they are not foundational to survival. Emotional relationships are optional. Financial stability is essential. You can live without a partner. You can grow, thrive, and evolve without someone holding your hand. But try doing any of that while drowning in debt, worrying about rent, or skipping meals to make ends meet, and you'll understand that love won't rescue you from the consequences of financial ignorance. Emotional comfort might feel good in the moment, but it can't replace the long-term security that comes with knowing you can take care of yourself no matter what happens. Love can be fleeting. Breakups happen. People leave. But your ability to generate income, to make wise decisions with your money, to create a safety net for yourself, those are the things that build a life of dignity and choice. When you're broke, your options are limited. You don't get to dream freely. You don't get to pick and choose what kind of life you want to live. Everything is dictated by your bank balance, not your potential. Imagine standing in a grocery store trying to decide whether to buy medicine or food. Not because you're budgeting for something exciting, but because you literally can't afford both. That's not drama. That's reality for many people. Now compare that to heartbreak. Yes, breakups hurt. Yes, being lonely can weigh on you. But loneliness doesn't starve your body, it starves your ego. Being broke starves everything: your health, your mind, your possibilities. And yet, people will chase love like it's oxygen and put money management at the bottom of the priority list. This is the lie we've been sold, that emotional fulfillment is the key to a meaningful life. But how meaningful can your life be when you're constantly worried about survival? If you're single and stable, you can still build a kingdom. But if you're in love and broke, you're building a house on sand. Stability is the foundation of everything worth having. Financial independence gives you leverage, not just in your career or lifestyle, but even in your relationships. It gives you the power to walk away from toxic situations, to say no to manipulation, to demand better not just from others, but from yourself. It is financial freedom that lets you become fully yourself, without compromise, without fear. And from that place of strength, you attract better relationships anyway, because no one wants to partner with someone who can't stand on their own. People often confuse love with security, but the two are not the same. A loving relationship can feel secure, but if it's built on financial instability, it eventually becomes a burden. Every argument turns into a blame game. Every plan becomes a stress point. Every dream becomes a postponed conversation. And in that tension, love begins to erode. So when you prioritize your finances, you're not choosing money over love, you're choosing to protect love from becoming another casualty of financial pressure. It's easy to idealize relationships in your 20s when life still feels like a story being written in pencil. But eventually, the world stops giving you permission to figure it out. Responsibilities stack up. Bills don't pause because your heart is broken. Time doesn't slow down because you're emotionally confused. Life demands action, and the older you get, the more unforgiving it becomes. So instead of chasing someone to text you good morning, chase the version of you who wakes up with purpose. Instead of craving connection, crave competence. Because when you're competent, when you're capable, when you know you can rely on yourself, every connection you form after that comes from abundance, not desperation. This isn't a cold message, it's a clear one. Emotional relationships are wonderful, but they are not your lifeline. You are, your skills are, your work ethic is, your financial literacy is. Those are the things no one can take away from you. Those are the things that keep you grounded when the storms of life come in waves. And they always do. People will come and go. Feelings will shift. But your ability to manage your resources, to adapt, to build, to sustain, that's what lasts. That's what liberates. That's what turns dreams into reality. In a world where emotions are often mistaken for currency, it's easy to believe that love is enough. That if you have someone who cares for you, supports you, and stands beside you, everything else will somehow fall into place. But the truth is far less romantic and far more sobering. Love won't pay your bills. It won't keep your lights on. It won't fill your fridge or cover your rent. You can be wrapped in affection and still feel the sting of an overdue notice. You can hold hands with someone who promises forever while drowning in the stress of not knowing how you'll make it to the end of the month. It's not that love is meaningless, it's that love without structure, without stability, without discipline and hustle becomes just another beautiful distraction from the reality you've been avoiding. Discipline and hustle aren't glamorous. They don't get the spotlight in movies or the filters on Instagram. They're early mornings and late nights. They're skipped outings and quiet sacrifices. They're the moments no one sees, the decision to wake up when you want to sleep in, the refusal to give up when everything feels heavy. These are the bricks that build the foundation of a life you can actually depend on. Love may decorate the house, but discipline and hustle are what make sure it doesn't collapse. It's tempting to think that passion alone can carry you through life, that a dream in your heart and a partner by your side will be enough. But reality doesn't reward passion without execution. The bills you receive in the mail don't care about your feelings. The opportunities you miss because you weren't prepared don't wait around while you sort through emotional confusion. Discipline is what shows up even when motivation doesn't. Hustle is what drives you when everything else says stop. These two forces combined are what turn intentions into results and wishes into wealth. You'll never hear a successful person say they got where they are through love alone. They'll tell you about the grind, the failures, the setbacks they overcame through sheer determination. Love might have supported them through the storm, but it didn't calm the storm itself. That was work. That was sacrifice. That was staying consistent when nothing made sense. And that same path is open to you, not when you're perfectly in love, but when you're brutally honest about your needs and willing to do what's required. People often waste years chasing emotional highs, waiting for the perfect partner, thinking that once they find the one, everything will align. But alignment starts with you. It starts when you stop treating your life like a waiting room for something or someone to save you. Love can motivate, yes, but motivation fades. What keeps you going is discipline. What moves the needle is hustle. What pays the bills at the end of the month is not how much someone loves you, but how well you manage your time, your energy, your money, and your mindset. There's a hard edge to this truth, and many avoid it because it feels uncomfortable. But that discomfort is where the breakthrough lies. Because once you stop outsourcing your future to romantic ideals, you begin to reclaim your power. You start making moves not based on emotions, but on strategy. You wake up with goals, not just feelings. You develop habits that produce income, not just comfort. And in doing so, you become someone who doesn't just survive life, but someone who leads it. Let's be clear, love is beautiful, it's meaningful, and it can add immense value to your journey. But if you make it the engine instead of the passenger, you risk driving your life into a ditch. Because when times get tough, and they always do, you'll need more than affection to keep going. You'll need a reason. You'll need grit. You'll need systems that work even when you feel broken. Love is not your strategy, discipline is. Hustle is. Commitment to your own evolution is. And once those things are in place, love becomes an amplifier, not a lifeline. There is a cost to every choice, and when you choose to rely on love without the backing of action, you pay that cost in missed chances and prolonged struggle. But when you choose to commit to your growth, when you build routines that sharpen you and chase excellence with unrelenting force, the cost flips. You stop paying in pain and you start paying in effort. That's a trade worth making, because effort multiplies, it compounds, it lifts you. It doesn't ask for anything it doesn't return. That's why discipline and hustle aren't just skills, they're your insurance policy against a world that doesn't owe you anything but gives everything to those who refuse to quit. There's a silent truth people often ignore in the pursuit of love and companionship, a truth that whispers through the stress of unpaid bills and echoes in the background of dreams deferred. Being broke limits choices more than being single ever will. It doesn't matter how charming you are, how romantic your story sounds, or how connected you feel with someone. If you're financially stuck, you're living within a cage disguised as comfort. Loneliness may feel like a weight on the heart, but poverty presses on the mind, the body, the spirit. It doesn't just make you feel alone, it makes you feel powerless, and that's far more paralyzing. People romanticize relationships as the key to happiness, as if being coupled up somehow shields you from the harsh realities of life. But love can't buy time. It can't unlock opportunities that demand financial leverage. It doesn't pay for tuition, business investments, or even a spontaneous weekend away to clear your head. When you're broke, your life becomes a cycle of limitation. Every decision is filtered through a lens of, can I afford this, instead of, is this right for me? You stay in jobs you hate because leaving is too risky. You stay in environments that drain you because moving costs money. You shrink your vision for your life down to what feels realistic, not because it's all you want, but because it's all you can reach. Being single, on the other hand, is space. It's time. It's potential. It's the ability to focus all your energy on building yourself into someone you respect. Singleness may sting on lonely nights, but it doesn't steal your freedom. In fact, it can amplify it if you use it right. When you're single and financially stable, you are free to explore who you are without compromise. You can say yes to travel, education, new ventures, and personal development. You can shape your future without needing to negotiate every step with another person's goals. You're not stuck. You're not beholden. You're free. Financial struggle, though, turns every part of your life into a negotiation. You negotiate your needs, your values, your identity. You ask yourself not what you want, but what you can afford. And slowly, that negotiation becomes your reality. You stop dreaming big, not because you lost hope, but because it feels irresponsible to want more than your bank account allows. You pass on experiences that could shape you. You ignore passions that could grow you. And the longer you stay in that mindset, the more normal it feels to settle. It's not just about money, it's about what money gives you. Choice. The choice to walk away. The choice to try something new. The choice to invest in yourself, to take a risk, to build something of your own. When you don't have money, those choices fade. You become reactive instead of proactive. You start to feel like life is happening to you instead of through you. And that creates a kind of quiet desperation, a daily survival mode that robs you of joy, ambition, and clarity. You might think love can compensate for that having someone beside you softens the blow. And yes, emotional support can carry you through dark seasons. But two broke people in love are still broke. Affection doesn't cancel out unpaid debt. Connection doesn't erase the frustration of having potential without access. In fact, being financially unstable can strain a relationship to the breaking point. Resentment builds. Stress replaces romance. Every discussion becomes tactical instead of intimate. So what once felt like refuge becomes another reminder of everything you lack. Being single doesn't limit your dreams. Being broke does. And that's why your priority should never be just to find someone, it should be to find your power. To put yourself in a position where your choices aren't dictated by fear or scarcity. Because with financial independence comes mental clarity. You think better. You move smarter. You take calculated risks. You invest in yourself, in your craft, in your future. And from that place of abundance, you're more likely to attract relationships that align with your values, not your desperation. Freedom is not about having endless money. It's about having enough control over your life that you don't feel like a prisoner to your circumstances. And while singleness may come with emotional challenges, it doesn't imprison you. It gives you space to build. Being broke, however, builds walls around your potential. It limits your movement. It forces compromise where there should be none. It keeps you choosing between survival and purpose, between bills and dreams. And that trade-off day after day silently chips away at who you were meant to become. There's a powerful shift that happens when you take control of your financial life, one that goes far beyond numbers in a bank account. Fix your finances and your confidence, freedom, and opportunities will follow. Because money at its core isn't just about what you can buy, it's about what you can become. When your money is in order, your mind gets quieter. You stop living in constant anxiety. You stop second-guessing every decision. You start walking differently, not with arrogance, but with certainty. Certainty that if life throws something your way, you're prepared. You're not hoping for help. You are the help. That kind of confidence can't be faked. It's earned through effort, consistency, and the discipline to take control of the areas of life that most people avoid. Financial chaos is more than unpaid bills or bad credit. It seeps into every corner of your life. It causes stress that keeps you up at night. It leads to resentment in relationships. It locks you into survival mode where your focus is not on growth, but on getting through the day. You feel reactive instead of powerful. Your dreams start to feel like distractions instead of destinations. But when you fix your finances, that fog begins to clear. You start thinking bigger. You make decisions based on vision, not desperation. You shift from asking, how will I get through this, to what can I build next. That mental shift is everything. Confidence isn't just internal, it's a reflection of control. When you know your bills are paid, when you have savings, when your debt is shrinking, you move through the world with a different posture. You don't shrink in the face of problems. You don't hide from opportunity. You become someone who can say yes, not because you're reckless, but because you're ready. And when you radiate that kind of energy, people notice. You attract different conversations, better rooms, and bigger doors. Because the world doesn't just reward talent, it rewards readiness. And nothing prepares you for life like mastering your money. Freedom is another reward that follows financial control. Not the kind of freedom that's marketed to you through luxury ads and expensive gadgets, but the real kind, the kind that lets you walk away from toxic environments. The kind that lets you take a break when life demands rest. The kind that gives you room to say no, not out of fear, but from strength. Without financial stability, your choices aren't really choices, they're obligations dressed up as decisions. You stay in jobs you've outgrown. You tolerate behavior that drains you. You live smaller than your dreams because you can't afford to risk more. That's not freedom. That's quiet captivity. But when you fix your finances, you start to unlock doors that were always there, you just couldn't afford to open them. Opportunities follow structure. People think luck is random, but most luck is a reward for preparation. The chance to invest, to travel, to network, to pivot careers, these aren't just dreams. They're realities for people who got their finances under control. Because when you're not buried in debt, you can say yes when something life-changing comes your way. You can attend the conference, move to the better city, fund the business, support the idea. You don't have to beg, borrow, or hesitate. You're in position, and position creates momentum. That's why the people who seem to always be lucky usually have one thing in common: they've put in the boring, consistent, disciplined work when no one was watching. It's not about becoming obsessed with money. It's about refusing to let money be the reason you live beneath your potential. It's about recognizing that your financial reality shapes how you feel about yourself and how the world responds to you. When your money is broken, your self-image usually is too. You doubt yourself more. You make excuses. You play small. But when you start getting your financial life in order, even just the basics, you begin to rebuild how you see yourself. You become someone who follows through, someone who respects their own future, someone who is not just reacting to life but directing it. There's a reason people who fix their finances often level up in other areas too. Because financial discipline teaches you habits that bleed into everything: delayed gratification, goal setting, focus, resilience. You realize that the same consistency it takes to budget and save is the same mindset required to get in shape, grow a career, or build a business. You realize that once you can manage your money, you can manage your time. And once you can manage your time, you can manage your entire life. That's the chain reaction. It all starts with the courage to stop avoiding the numbers, to face your financial truth, and to do something about it. Because when you do, everything else begins to shift with it.